Okay, let's get into it. We're talking about a structure that's kind of stuck between history and straight up myth.
The Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
Exactly. It's one of the most famous ancient wonders, but it's also probably the most mysterious.
That's right. Lots of people know the name, but the real question is, what was fact, what was just folklore, and maybe the biggest question of all.
Were they even in Babylon?
Exactly.
So to start, we have to talk about the location. We're in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq.
Right between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It's called the cradle of civilization for a reason.
And that location is key. Babylon was a huge, powerful city, but the land itself was
Flat and hot and dry.
So to support this massive city, they had to be masters of irrigation. Water control wasn't just a nice to have, it was everything.
It was survival. And it was power.
And the man at the center of all this power was King Nebuchadnezzar II.
He was more than just a king. He was a builder, an absolute visionary who ruled for over 40 years.
And he wanted everyone to know how powerful he was. He saw Babylon as a reflection of himself.
Totally. He built these enormous defensive walls, massive temples, and, according to the legends, the gardens. He wanted to build the most beautiful city on earth. A legacy in stone.
Or, in this case, a legacy in soil and plants.
Right.
Okay, so that's the power play. But there's a more personal story here, a famous one.
The love story.
Yeah. It involves Nebuchadnezzar's wife, Queen Amytas.
She was a princess from Media, which was a very mountainous green region, very different from Babylon.
I mean, can you imagine? You grew up surrounded by lush green hills, and then you moved to the desert.
The story goes she was incredibly homesick, just sad, looking out at the flat, dusty plains all day.
So the king decides to fix this, but not with, a trip home.
No. He decides to fix it with an unbelievable feat of engineering.
He decides to build her a mountain.
An artificial mountain, yeah. A series of tiers covered with trees and plants from her homeland, right in the middle of the city.
It's this incredible motivation-solving and emotional problem with a massive construction project. Whether it's 100% true or not, it's a great story.
It definitely gives us a powerful reason why someone would even attempt something so difficult.
Okay, so let's get into the construction itself. Because you can't just pile dirt and trees 75 feet into the air.
Not in that heat, no.
Yeah.
You're dealing with immense weight, and all of it is constantly soaked with water.
Right. So the descriptions say it was a series of layered terraces.
Kind of like a giant green stepped pyramid.
Made of bricks. And built so high that it gave this illusion that the gardens were just floating.
And that illusion required a seriously robust structure. We're talking about something that ancient writers claimed was over 75 feet high.
75 feet, for anyone listening, that's like a 7 or 8 story building.
Now imagine covering the roof of that building with tons of wet dirt and full-grown trees.
You can see the problem.
Right. And what's more, stone was really rare in Babylon. They couldn't just build it out of massive blocks of stone.
So what did they use? Most buildings there were just sun-dried mud brick, right?
Yes, which would have been a disaster here. They get wet, they basically melt.
So, not an option?
Not at all. So they had to upgrade their tech. They used fired bricks.
Okay, what's the difference?
Fired bricks are baked in a kiln, a super hot oven, until they're basically as hard as rock. It makes them way more durable and water resistant.
So they have the right bricks, but you still have to stick them together.
And for that, they use bitumen. It's a natural tar-like substance.
Like ancient asphalt.
Exactly. It's thick, it's sticky, and most importantly, it's an amazing waterproofing sealant. It would have sealed all the joints between the bricks.
But even with waterproof walls, you have all this water seeping down from the gardens above. How did they stop the lower levels from just flooding?
This is the really clever part. This is the detail that shows just how advanced they were.
Go on.
Underneath the soil on each terrace, they reportedly laid down sheets of lead.
Lead. Like the metal.
Yes. They basically created a waterproof membrane. Think about the work involved in that. Sourcing and smelting all that lead, then pounding it into sheets just to stop leaks. It's incredible foresight.
Wow. So this wasn't just built with brute force. This was a high-tech project for its time.
Absolutely. It took thousands of workers years to build, and it was a symbol of just how skilled and powerful the Babylonian Empire was.
But the whole thing, the entire structure, depended on one single element.
Water.
And lots of it, in a place that didn't have much. That, to me, is the biggest challenge of the whole thing.
It really is. I mean, a 75-foot-high garden in that climate would need a constant, huge supply of water every single day. You can't just wait for rain.
It would turn to dust.
Instantly. So water had to be lifted day in and day out from the Euphrates River all the way to the top.
So how did they do it? What was the system?
The basic idea was to get the water up to reservoirs on the highest terrace, big storage pools.
I see. And then from there, gravity does the work.
Exactly. The water would flow down through pipes or channels and irrigate every level on its way down.
Smart. But the lift is the hard part. Getting the water 75 feet up against gravity. What are the theories?
Well, there are two main ones. The first is a chain pump.
A chain pump.
What's that? Picture a big loop of chain or rope with buckets attached to it.
Mm.
The loop goes down into the river. The buckets fill with water.
And then the chain carries them up to the top where they dump the water out.
And then they go back down empty. It's like a water elevator. Very effective.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the other theory?
The Archimedes screw.
Ah, I've heard of this. It's that giant corkscrew inside a tube, right?
That's the one. As you turn it, the spiral blade lifts the water up the cylinder. It's a brilliant piece of technology.
But wait a second, isn't there a timing problem with that?
There is.
Archimedes lived centuries after Nebuchadnezzar.
He did. So that's the historical puzzle. It could be that an early version of the screw was invented before him, or maybe the Greeks just got it wrong and they used the chain pump.
Either way, the fact that they could move that much water every single day is just astounding.
It really is. And they weren't just watering a few potted plants.
No, this was a statement. We're talking tall cedar and cypress trees, fruit trees, fragrant flowers, vines, a true oasis.
A symbol of wealth and power. It showed the kingdom could bring the entire world's flora right to its capital.
Which leads us to the biggest puzzle of all.
The proof.
We have all these amazing descriptions, but where is it?
Exactly. This is where it all gets turned on its head. Pretty much everything we know, like it being one of the seven wonders or being 75 feet high, comes from Greek historians. People like Diodorus Siculus and Strabo.
But they were writing way after the
Yes,
fact.
centuries later. And here's the kicker. Most of them had never even been to Babylon.
So they were just repeating stories they'd heard.
Travelers' tales, secondhand accounts. And you know how stories like that can get exaggerated over time? It's like describing a city you've only seen in old postcards.
You're going to focus on the wonder, not the hard facts.
And that probably explains why, after all these years of archaeology in Babylon, we have never found definitive proof.
Nothing.
We found some vaulted structures near the palace that could be something, but nothing that screams seven-story floating forest stood here.
So what happened to it? Could it have been destroyed by an earthquake?
That's one theory. Or maybe the Euphrates River changed its course and just washed the foundations away or buried them under silt.
Or we just haven't dug in the right spot yet.
That's also possible. But this lack of evidence in Babylon has opened the door for a radical new idea.
Which is, what if we've been looking in the completely wrong city?
For 2,000 years, yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. The Nineveh theory.
This is an idea put forward by researchers like Dr. Stephanie Dalley, and she argues that the legendary gardens weren't in Babylon at all.
But in Nineveh.
Much further north, yes. The capital of the Assyrian Empire, Babylon's great rival.
And is there evidence for this?
A lot, actually. And it's pretty compelling. Unlike in Babylon, archaeologists in Nineveh have found an enormous complex system of canals and aqueducts
Infrastructure for what?
for bringing water over miles to what were clearly massive royal gardens.
And there's more than just ruins, right?
Much more. The Assyrian king, Sennacherib, left written records. We have his cuneiform tablets where he boasts about building a palace without a rival and a huge garden that was a wonder for all people.
He's describing the Hanging Gardens.
The description is incredibly similar. And even better, they found stone carvings, reliefs in Nineveh that actually show gardens on a terrace with trees being watered by a screw-like device.
The Archimedes screw.
Or an early version of it. The visual proof is there.
So why did everyone think it was in Babylon for all these centuries?
It could just be a mix-up. Later Greek historians, writing from far away, might have confused the two great Mesopotamian capitals. Nineveh was even sometimes called Old Babylon.
That is wild, to think that one of the seven wonders of the world might have been misidentified for 2 millennia.
It would completely rewrite that chapter of history. It shifts the credit from Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon to Sennacherib of Syria. But the marvel itself remains just as impressive.
So whether it was in Babylon for love or in Nineveh for power, its legacy is what's really important.
I think so. The gardens were totally unique among the wonders. They weren't just stone and metal. Their beauty was based on living, growing nature.
Which means they needed constant care.
Constant care. It symbolized humanity's ability to control and shape the environment just for beauty, for aesthetics.
And that idea is still so relevant. I mean, you see it everywhere in big cities today.
Oh, absolutely. The whole concept of vertical gardens and green roofs.
Right. Putting gardens on the sides of skyscrapers and on top of buildings.
It's the same core idea, bringing plants and nature into dense urban spaces.
And it's not just for looks anymore. It helps cool buildings, improves air quality.
Fights that urban heat island effect. It's a modern, sustainable solution that has a direct line back to this ancient wonder.
That's really cool.
So the story of the Hanging Gardens, no matter where they actually stood, it really represents this peak of ancient engineering. A project so incredible that the legend alone still fascinates us today.
It just shows what's possible when you combine ambition, technology, and nature.
Absolutely.
And realizing that something so famous in history might still be a complete mystery. That's a pretty powerful idea. It makes you wonder what else we think we know for sure might have a completely different story waiting to be discovered. See you next time.